entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey, Matt Heywood here from entertainmentbuddha.com, bringing you the latest Top X Most Impactful Scenes countdown for the most recent episode of The Walking Dead, which this time around was titled Not Tomorrow Yet. Before we get down to the countdown, a quick bonus impactful scene. Right at the beginning, Carol's handing out all of her beaten acorn cookies, and sure enough, she leaves one on her grave for her dead homie Sam. R.I.P. Sam. R.I.P. Alright, so the first most impactful scene from Not Tomorrow Yet just happens to be Rick's little sermon he gives at the church. I mean, obviously, it was not biblical in nature, but he pretty much threw down the gauntlet like, listen, people, it's either them or us. We need to become the attackers. We need to do this preemptively to stop the saviors from eventually coming to Alexandria and fucking us over. So everyone's just kind of sitting there soaking it in, even though, let's face it, Rick and Maggie already made the deal in last week's episode, so I'm not really sure what this democratic process was all about. But one person in particular, Poo-Poo Morgan, definitely did not like Rick's plan. But no one else wanted to side with Morgan, so Rick pretty much sets into motion the plan to go attack the Savior's supposed hideout. So the second most impactful scene was kind of a surprise, and by surprise I mean we didn't really see it coming. There was nothing to set this up, and that of course was Carol and Tobin making it out and probably going on to make babies after the scene ended. So it is impactful because up until now Carol has just kind of been this ruthless killer, slowly getting back to normal life in Alexandria. But out of the blue, she just starts flirting with Tobin and they make out. So yeah, it's an impactful scene. Now, the third most impactful scene involves Abe's breakup with Rosita, which, quite frankly, went about as good as you could expect a breakup to go when Abe's doing the breaking up. Now, we know Abe isn't the most eloquent of speaker, but the way he ditched Rosita last night was just rude, crude, and made me feel quite bad for Rosita and how their relationship kind of turned out. But Abe more or less said, hey, when we first met, I thought you were the last woman alive in the world, and now I know you're not. So he pretty much said, hey, I can get some better ass on the other side of Alexandria. And he's referring to Sasha, of course. So the next most impactful scene is more of an impactful line than a full-on scene. But if you remember back, you know, Rick, along with Jesus and the other dude from the hilltop, they're sitting there, they have a plan. They're going to try to fool the saviors with a fake zombie head that looks like Gregory. So they find 3 heads, and the one they pick, they decide the nose isn't that great. So what does Rick do? Without flinching, the dude picks up the head and starts beating the shit out of it to break the nose, to basically tell the saviors, hey, Gregory put up a fight, and, you know, I broke my hand on his nose or whatever. So the amazing part, or the impactful part, is when the other Alexandria dude basically says to Rick, like, I've interacted with the saviors, and they are freaking nuts. But they've got nothing on you, which just goes to show how far Rick has come and what he's willing to do and just his attitude towards this type of stuff. You know, picking up a corpse head and beating the tar out of it. So yeah, Rick is full on crazy, but I think that's what they need moving forward in the season. So the fifth most impactful scene was a huge one, and it was so huge because it featured our lovely Glenn. Yes, the guy who has managed to not kill humans up until this point in time. He finally broke that rule, crossed the barrier to the dark side. He is now a human killer. So much so that he's already murdered probably 4 or 5 people based on the events that happened in the Savior's compound. So, Glenn, you held out for very long, my friend, but now you too are a murderer. But for a good reason. I mean, these people are nuts. Especially when Glenn sees the homage of smashed-in skulls in that one room where he made his first kill, which definitely foreshadows possibly his own demise coming towards the end of the season. I guess we'll soon find out, won't we, Mr. Negan? So the final most impactful scene from Not Tomorrow Yet is more or less the culmination of scenes from the moment Abe and Sasha run into that dude and he trips the fire alarm and then all hell breaks loose. So at first it seemed like Rick and the gang got the upper hand. They went through the compound and wasted everybody. I mean, like we mentioned before, Glenn was killing, Heath was killing, Rick obviously is killing, Sasha, Abe, Michonne, everyone's killing everywhere. It was a murder fest. And then we get to the very end and we think that, hey, that was pretty easy. Rick and them, they just took down the Saviors. Go team, they get their food, deal with Hilltop's ready to go. But lo and behold, we get some radio chatter from a woman who lets Rick know that she has captured Carol and Maggie. So it appears that Rick's mission failed. They did not get Negan, and obviously this was not the Savior's main compound. So Rick just punched or kicked the Negan beehive, if you will. Alright, so it was a pretty good episode. Lots of violence, tons of tension. You never knew what was going to happen, if they'd run into Negan or if someone was going to die during the raid. But in the end, we were left wanting more. What is going to happen next week? What's going on with Carol and Maggie? And where is Negan? And what the hell did Rick just get the Alexandrians and Hilltoppers into? So thanks as always for tuning in. This is Matt Heywood from EntertainmentBoo.com, bringing you the top X most impactful scenes, moments, whatever you want to call it, from the most recent episode of The Walking Dead Season 6. Bye for now.